You see him on the news.
CNN.com contributor, Dean Obeidallah. So, Dean...
Watch him at comedy clubs.
When I say Mecca, do you think of a holy place or an urban clothing line?
Read his articles. And you hear him on the radio. The Dean Obeidallah Show is on live right here on SiriusXM Progress, Channel 127.
And welcome to Dean Obeidallah Show. We're live right here. It is Thursday, February 28th. There's so much going on. Of course, every day so much is going on. But I'm on Twitter at Dean Obeidallah, where you can follow me all day, interact with me, retweet. I'll retweet your stuff at Dean Obeidallah, Facebook.com/Dean of Radio. Watch the monologue or email me, Dean at deanofradio.com. So we are going to pick up where we sort of left off last night, but we have new topics to cover as well. Michael Cohen testimony was the story for 3 hours on this show and around the whole globe of people who follow politics. And as you might imagine, late night comedians also got involved. And here's a few funny things that I found. Here's first Trevor Noah on The Daily Show, and it begins actually with, in midstream with Michael Cohen testifying. This is all real testimony, folks. Not all of this got covered yesterday. That Michael Cohen was charged by Donald Trump to threaten, I'm not kidding, threaten his schools that he went to, high school and college, with lawsuits if they dared release his school records. That's how much they didn't want us to know, Trump didn't want us to know what grades he got in school. Here's Trevor Noah's takes, clip number 1.
I'm giving the committee today copies of a letter I sent at Mr. Trump's direction threatening these schools with civil and criminal actions. Mr. Trump directed me to threaten his high school, his colleges, and the college board to never release his grades or SAT scores.
Okay, that part is just hilarious. How bad were Trump's grades that he threatened to sue his school if they release them? Like, I swear to God, if you tell anyone I got a G- in math, I will destroy you. Oh, maybe we assume that. Maybe it's something else. Maybe Trump doesn't want anyone finding out he got an A in Spanish. He's just like, if this gets out, my supporters are gonna be so mad. Entonces solamente no bien días. I mean, bad hombres build the wall.
And obviously it's bad grades. And don't forget, Donald Trump, as we all remember, part and parcel of his birther racist campaign was trying to get President Obama's grades and claiming that he was a terrible student, even though he didn't know, but just because he's black, he can't be as smart as Donald Trump. And Donald Trump doesn't want us to see his grades because we know they're horrible. And then Seth Meyers played a clip of Michael Cohen talking about that Donald Trump never wanted to make America great. What did he want to make great? I think you know. Let's hear clip number 2.
Cohen also provided what he claimed was an explanation for Trump's behavior during the campaign. He never expected to be president. He acted only in his own personal interest, and that's because he saw the campaign as an opportunity to enrich himself.
Donald Trump is a man who ran for office to make his brand great, not to make our country great. He had no desire or intention to lead this nation, only to market himself and to build his wealth and power. Mr. Trump would often say this campaign was going to be the greatest infomercial in political history.
It's true. And like any product you buy from an infomercial, it turned out to be much crappier than it looked on TV.
And, you know, there was so much in the 7 or 8 hours that Michael Cohen was there. And we went through a lot of the more serious stuff. This also paints a picture of who Donald Trump is. I think it's remarkable that Michael Cohen keeps calling Donald Trump Mr. Trump. Just call him like scumbag Trump or con man or criminal. But still, he wants to call him Mr. Trump. That's his choice. Now, near the end of the testimony last night, really right near the end, Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, who is one of the 2 Muslim members of Congress, women who got elected, was making a point because earlier in the testimony, Mark Meadows, a right-wing congressman from North Carolina, had pushed back against the allegation by Michael Cohen that somehow Donald Trump could be a racist, because that's no way. There's no way Donald Trump's a racist. And how did Mark Meadows show that? Well, he brought a black woman, apparently the one black woman who ever worked for Donald Trump, who now works in the Trump administration, to the actual testimony. And Rashida Tlaib made a point that you turned this woman into a prop. And there were several African-American members of Congress, including Ayanna Pressley from Massachusetts, who slammed that. But What Tlaib did, though, was actually say what Mark Meadows did was racist. She didn't call him a racist. What you did, though, by bringing a black woman to be a prop, to say Trump can't be racist because he has his black woman friend, is racist. And here's the exchange back and forth. Here's clip number 3.
Just to make a note, Mr. Chairman, just because someone has a person of color, a black person working for them, does not mean they aren't racist. And it is insensitive that some would even say it's the fact that someone would actually use a prop, a black woman, in this chamber, in this committee, is alone racist in itself. Donald Trump is setting a precedent.
Mr. Chairman, I ask that her words be taken down.
Donald Trump is setting a precedent. I reclaim my time.
Mr. Chairman,
Trump is setting a precedent.
Mr. Chairman,
that the highest office can be attained.
Mr. Chairman, the rules are clear.
Activity.
Mr. Chairman, I ask that her words, when she's referring to an individual member of this body, be taken down and stricken from the record. I'm sure she didn't intend to do this, but if anyone knows my record as it relates, it should be you, Mr. Chairman.
Of course, so if anyone knows the record of Mark Meadows regarding race, you would just have to come to one conclusion. In fact, let's see here a little evidence about Mark Meadows. And here is Mark Meadows during the campaign trail, 2012, when President Obama was running for re-election, at a campaign stop to people in the crowd there. Here's clip number 4. Listen very closely as Mark Meadows says where he wants President Obama to go back to. Clip number 4.
The more we find out, the more we realize how wrong the direction we're going. And so what we're going to do is take back our country. 2012 is the time that we're going to send Mr. Obama home to Kenya or wherever it is. We're going to do it.
Interesting. So he's championing the racist birther campaign issue and then saying President Obama should go back to Africa. If you think that was a one-off, that wasn't. That was apparently part of Mark Meadows' applause lines to his predominantly white crowds in rural North Carolina, who, I don't know what Mark Meadows is about, but Mark Meadows knows when you say a black person should go back to Africa, he knows what he's saying. I mean, who are we kidding? He knows exactly what he's saying. He knows they love this stuff. In fact, here's Mark Meadows at a town hall a short time later in 2012, clip number 5.
If we do our job from a grassroots standpoint, we won't have to worry about it. You know what? We'll send him back home to Kenya or wherever it is. We'll send him back home.
That's white supremacist humor. I'm going to send a black man back to Africa. Hear that? Yoo-hoo-hoo. Man, you can't hear them laugh because they have the hoods on their face, so it kind of muffles the laughter. But if they took the hoods off, they'd probably laugh a lot. Look, I don't know if Mark Meadows is a racist or not. I can tell you this. He plays in racist garbage. And he supports the biggest racist we've ever had as modern day president. We've had other racist white supremacist presidents in the past. Don't get me wrong. Modern day, Trump is the king. So if you're a big fan of the white supremacist president who doesn't like blacks, demeans them at least. I don't know if he truly likes them. Demeans them. Demeans Latinos, Muslims, transgender Americans. If you support a bigot and a racist like that, look, I don't know what the word you use for Mark Meadows. Words come to mind. Scumbag. I'm from Jersey. That's what we'd call him. That's what he is. And then what else happened today? Well, Donald Trump's summit it wasn't in North Korea, it was in Vietnam with North Korean leader. And he was very upset that Michael Cohen got all the press yesterday instead of him. Well, that didn't work out too well. Twitter went crazy calling it Trump fail, hashtag Trump fail. It just completely fell apart. In fact, before they were supposed to have more meetings, and before their pre-planned lunch, it was over. And Trump won't tell us who walked out on who, but it's over. I mean, this love story, it's sad. It's like the end of Act 2 of a movie. The two guys have split up. Will they get back together in Act 3? You know, I don't know. I didn't read Art of the Deal. If you did, can you call and tell me, is there a chapter where you're supposed to fly halfway across the world and get nothing? Because maybe that's in Art of the Deal. I don't know, because that's what Trump did. So if there's a chapter, you fly halfway across the world and get embarrassed on the world stage and you get nothing, then Trump followed that in the Art of the Deal. And so he canceled, he jumped on the plane, he came back. Maybe I'm thinking, maybe he came back in such a rush because he heard that tomorrow's Mueller Friday and Donald Trump Jr. is getting indicted tomorrow. Look, I don't know if that's true, but I can't. The only way to make this week any better, the cherry on this week would be Donald Trump Jr. getting indicted tomorrow. And yes, I should not be gleeful thinking of the children of the president being indicted for their crimes, but Donald Trump Jr. is an exception. He's just a horrible, horrible person. But let's talk a little bit about what happened today, Donald Trump, again, on a much more serious note, showed us that he loves dictators and he'll side with dictators over Democrats. And I don't mean Democrats with a big D. I mean small d, people who are in democracies. He will side with his dictator friends over anyone, even our allies. And we saw an example right here. Now, walking away from the deal, there were even some Republicans and Democrats, who praised Trump for walking away because they thought he was just going to make a bad deal to get the Nobel Peace Prize. So they're happy he did not do that. Although Nancy Pelosi made it very blunt that the real winner was Kim Jong-un because he got to get a photo op with the President of the United States. And as much as we know what Trump is really about in the world, the President of the United States still has some stature. So what happened? What did Donald Trump do today that was truly vile and despicable? Because it's almost a daily thing, but this was a new one. Today it had to deal with Otto Warmbier. Now, you might know the name. Otto Warmbier was the University of Virginia student who was detained in North Korea. He was there in 2015 as part of a school trip, and he was held for 17 months. He was charged with spying for the U.S., and of course, it's not true, and his parents denied that, of course. They had a show trial on national TV in North Korea in 2016, and Otto was sentenced to 15 years of hard labor. In 2017, Otto was so sick, they released him, and he died a short time later when he returned to Ohio. North Korean government, their official standard lie, their lie that they put out was that he died of food poisoning, but doctors in America were unable to find any trace of botulism or the cause of his injuries being related to anything like food poisoning. As a result, Otto's family sued the North Korean government in April 2018. And Otto's father, Fred, said at the time, quote, that his son was taken hostage, kept as a prisoner for political purpose, used as a pawn, and singled out for exceptionally harsh and brutal treatment by Kim Jong-un, adding, Kim and his regime have portrayed themselves as innocent while they intentionally destroyed our son's life. In December, a federal judge ruled in favor of Otto's family, awarding them $500 million. At the time, the federal judge said he's concluded that North Korea was liable in the torture, hostage-taking, and killing of Otto, adding that North Korea continued to detain Otto in a severely compromised condition for over a year. And then instead of sending him home earlier, kept him to the point where he would die. So you've got an American hostage. Big show trial. The whole country knows it. There's not many American hostages there. This is a young guy. He's sick. He's dying. As the judge said from their own records and testimony in this trial, that for a year they kept Otto there, even though he was really sick. But Kim Jong-un kept him there. And the judgment was entered. At the time, Otto's family said, we are thankful that the world can see that the Kim regime is legally and morally responsible for Otto's death. Adding, we put ourselves and our family through an ordeal of a lawsuit and public trial because we promise Otto we will never rest until we have justice for him. It's pretty clear. There's no disputing any of this. The facts are, young man Otto Warmbier was in North Korea, gets taken hostage. They have a show trial. He's kept as a prized hostage for the North Korean Kim Jong-un's regime. There's a judgment ultimately entered against him after he dies, where a federal judge, after seeing the evidence presented, and the family corroborates this, he was killed by the Kim regime. There's no doubt he was killed by the Kim regime. And everything I've read about the regime, but it is a closed regime, is that Kim makes all the decisions with big matters like this. The same way Donald Trump makes all the decisions when it comes to his campaign, important decisions. That's undisputed. That's where we were until this morning. And then Donald Trump, after the failed summit, gets up in front of the world press and defends Kim Jong-un over the killing of Otto Warmbier. And I'll play you the clip so you can hear it right for your own ears. This is unreal. Here's clip number 6.
You in Singapore were here, confronted Kim Jong-un about Otto Warmbier's death.
I have.
Asked him to take responsibility. And what did he say to you? And why do you call him your friend?
I have, and I have talked about it. And I really don't think it was in his interest at all. I don't believe that he would have allowed that to happen. It just wasn't to his advantage to allow that to happen. Those prisons are rough. They're rough places, and bad things happened. but I really don't believe that he was. I don't believe he knew about it.
Did he tell you that he did not? Did Kim Jong-un tell you?
He felt badly about it. I did speak to him. He felt very badly, but he knew the case very well. But he knew it later.
And he said he didn't know about it. I take him at his word. And he knew about the case, but he didn't know the bad treatment of the guy for years. This was a prized asset for the North Korean regime, an American young man that they accused of being a spy. They had a show trial on national television. They sentenced him to 15 years hard labor. And Kim Jong-un didn't know about the treatment of this guy. At the same time, he's talking to Trump and playing these little games about we're going to have a war or not. Well, the family, it's very clear. Otto's family made it very clear. Kim Jong-un is the person behind this. He ordered it. He wanted the son tortured and ultimately killed. Maybe he didn't want him to die, but he certainly wanted him to suffer for his own purposes, whatever his reason. I mean, this is guy Kim Jong-un who kills his own people. There's no dissent there. You die. You get killed. And, you had Senator Rob Portman of Ohio as a Republican, the home state of Otto, said, we must remember Otto and we should never let North Korea off the hook for what they did to him. Today, Democrat Sherrod Brown said, the president of the United States is sending a message to dictators around the world that he believes autocrats when they lie or when they cover up or when they justify policies that result in the deaths of human beings. So there you go. You've got this young man killed. There's a federal judgment. A federal judge has determined the North Korean government was involved. They named Kim by name. But today, Donald Trump absolves him of any wrongdoing going, no, he told me he didn't do it. I take him at his word. Now, if that sounds familiar, of course, Helsinki summit, Vladimir Putin, Donald Trump. And here's that to refresh everyone's recollection. Here's clip number 7.
My people came to me, Dan Coates came to me, and some others. They said they think it's Russia. I have President Putin. He just said it's not Russia. I will say this. I don't see any reason why it would be. I will tell you that President Putin was extremely strong and powerful in his denial today. And what he did is an incredible offer. He offered to have the people working on the case come and work with their investigators with respect to the 12 people. I think that's an incredible offer.
Oh, that's incredible. You're going to send the criminals into America. You're going to let them come in here and go through our cyber defense policies. Yes, genius you are. But it was very similar, wasn't it? Why would he do it? I don't see any upside to him to attack our democracy. Same thing, Kim Jong-un. I don't see any upside to him. And Donald Trump's upside is money. So he doesn't see them making money on this. So why would you do this? Because there's other reasons in the geopolitical world that we live in why people do certain things. Why do they torture a prisoner? Did Kim want this young man to die? Maybe, maybe not. Did he want to torture him? Yes. Did he die as a result of it? Seems pretty clear, yes. But Donald Trump absolved him today, the same way he absolved Vladimir Putin, even though our intelligence agencies, the United States intelligence agencies, told him Putin attacked our nation. And there he is. And just a few months ago, Saudi Arabia, Jamal Khashoggi, the Washington Post columnist who was killed by Saudis, by MBS under his order. And what did Trump do? He defended him, said maybe he did it, maybe he didn't. It was a rogue actors who were responsible. And today, literally today, yesterday, Jared Kushner was meeting with MBS in Saudi Arabia. Apparently it's Meet the Dictators Week in the Trump administration. So here's my question for you, because I am just baffled. Time after time, Donald Trump will stand with dictators and despots and autocrats and human rights violators over our democratic allies. Now, in the past, Trump has said things about Kim in North Korea that he fell in love and love letters. So does he do this because these guys like Putin and Khashoggi and MBS, Mohammed bin Salman in Saudi Arabia, and the North Korean leader just suck up to Trump? And he's like, wow, I'll defend you. You can kill anybody you want. You can kill an American reporter. You can kill an American citizen. You can attack our democracy. You said nice things about me. Is it that? Or does Donald Trump just love dictators and feel comfortable with them because he's cut from the same cloth as them? That like them, he wants to suppress the media and undermine democracy and make himself not the president, but the king of this nation. Is that what it is? I've said this over and over, and I have to say this again. Donald Trump is not the 45th president of the United States. That's an insult to our nation. The next president, the next person who wins an election November 3rd, 2020, which hopefully is going to be the Democrat, that will be the 45th president. When Trump is gone, we should erase his name from the record books. That's what I hope. I know that won't happen, but I really wish that, because he's an insult to this nation and all the men and women who have sacrificed ultimately for our nation, for our freedoms, to defend us from dictators. So America could be a leader in this world. And we're not. We're far from perfect. We're an imperfect nation, and we're imperfect leadership in the world. But I've never seen our leaders like this stand up and suck up to human rights violators, despots, and dictators. And Donald Trump did it again today. And yes, even Rick Santorum called him reprehensible today, this morning. By tonight, he'll be defending his lies again. Because they're so full of crap, the Trump defenders. They have no spine. I don't know if they have a soul at this point. I don't really know what goes on in their head. But I'll tell you this. I don't even want to go but what if Obama did this? We know. So what's your theory? Why does Donald Trump continue? Why does he defend Saudi Arabia? Why does he defend Kim Jong-un? Why does he defend Putin? Maybe with Kim Jong-un, it's not just sucking up. He wants a Nobel Peace Prize so badly to match Obama's that he's going to defend Kim Jong-un so he can maybe one day get a peace prize and doesn't want to walk away. But I mean, to defend him today and goes, I believe, I take him at his word. He said he didn't know about it. This guy runs his country. It's a teeny little country. He runs it with an iron fist. Are you kidding me? So I'd love to hear from you. You're my guest right to the top of the hour. 866-997-4748. In fact, you're my guest for the next hour. Then we have Congressman Mark Pocan in an hour from now. And then we're going to talk about Teaching Thursdays. And tonight's topic, fittingly enough, is authoritarianism with an expert on that very subject, Ruth Ben-Ghiat. We're going to talk about fascism, authoritarianism, and how does Donald Trump fit into these molds? And where are we heading? And what more should we be worried about in 2020? I'd love to hear from you. You're my guest. You want to talk about Michael Cohen testimony yesterday? We couldn't take a lot of calls. We had so many guests. I'd love to hear from you. What do you think about this Trump sucking up the dictator stuff here? This is alarming, folks. 866-997-4748. Give me a call. Be right back here on the Dino Bidala Show.
You're listening to the Dino Bidala Show, where we crush Trump's lies every single day.
On Sirius XM Progress 127.